So, what is trust? My whole life, I've been going to a public school ever since I was little, starting kindergarten. My parents never put me in pre-K. I don't know why, but I went to public school my whole life, and we didn't move around a lot, like those people that move around like 6, 9, 8, 15 times throughout their life. We moved a couple of times. My first elementary school, it was called Bernie Elementary, and I went there from kindergarten to 3rd grade. I had like so many friends there, like in the bus every morning I would see them, I would say hi. When we would go to school and we'd have recess, we would always hang out, and like we would have the best time ever. Then that changed. My parents decided to move. It wasn't that far, it was like probably 5, 10. Well, this time it was like 30 minutes away from where we used to live. So I ended up moving to a different elementary, and I was upset. I was really upset because I was like, I'm gonna leave my best friends. I'll never see them again. We ended up moving, and I ended up going to an elementary school called Dawell. It was for my 4th and 5th grade year. There, I really didn't have as much as friends as I did in Bernie. I remember there was this one girl, and she had gone to Bernie, so we sort of hanged out more, and like there were trailers, and when you live in like trailers, that like usually you always go outside after you get back from school, and you're always hanging out with your friends, and you play volleyball, you ride the bikes, ride scooters, y'all play games that y'all knew that your parents knew when they were little, and soccer and all these kinds of fun stuff. And like I was getting adapted to there, and so was my sister, and I was happy. I was like, yay, I'm finally getting more friends. And I would go to my friend's house, and we would go like to the little streams that were behind the trailers, and we would like try to be like explorers and like see what new things we would find. But then like my parents, they decided to move from there because they didn't like that atmosphere as much. And that time I was really, really upset, because usually those schools, like they were in the same Cobb County district, and like I would see my friends, like the friends that I went with for my 4th and 5th grade year, I would go with them to middle school as well, the same middle school. But and some people from my old elementary school, they would go to the same middle school as well. But we ended up moving, and like it was closer to my old house that we used to live in. But this time, I wouldn't go to any of the middle schools that any of my old friends or old schools would be there. So like I did not know anybody this time, and it was middle school. When you're in middle school, you want to have your friends, your old and your new friends that you've had throughout your elementary life, because you're scared. You don't know what you're gonna do. You don't know what kind of person you'll be. And I did not know anybody. You can say I wasn't a follower, but I would try to please everybody. In 6th grade, it's not gangsters, but like you can say wannabe gangsters. Like you can say they were like the cool people there, and everybody talked to them, and I tried to be with them. And then that was 6th grade. 7th grade, I was just like, okay, whatever. And I just focused on my academics, sort of. And in 8th grade, I was like, okay, I am done with this. I remember there was this one day that I went up to my parents, and I was like, why? Why did you do this to me? Why did you mess up my whole life? I could have gone to a middle school where all my best friends would have been there from my elementary schools. I could have gone to a middle school where like other people that I knew would be there, and I would at least have friends. I would at least have somebody to talk to. And I cried and I yelled at them. I was like, why did you do this? And later on, I remember I was mad at God. I was like, I used to cuss a lot, and I cussed, you can say I cussed God out, and I was like, why did you do this? I was saying all these kinds of things. And later on, a couple weeks or months later, there was this one sermon that this pastor gave. He came to our church, and I remember him reading these verses, and I guess I'll read them. And one of them was Joshua 1:9, and it says, "Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be terrified. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." And another one was Proverbs 3:5 and 6, and it says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your path straight." And the last one I remember, it's one of my favorites now. It's Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11. "For I know the plans I have for you, declared the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." And that, I remember that Sabbath, I cried and I was like, wow, God, I am so sorry for what I have done to you. I am so sorry. I did not mean to do whatever. I did not mean to curse you. I did not mean to put you down. Like, I don't know, but these verses, they reminded me of what he has done to my life. Because to be honest, in high school, when I went to high school, I saw all the people from middle school, from elementary, and yes, they were the popular people, but some of them, they did drugs. Some of them, they drank alcohol. For us Hispanics, it's a big thing. We have like quinceañeras, and most of the girls right there, they have quinceañeras, and they're like on Sabbath. But the thing is that they drink there. They do. Well, I don't know. You'll have to look more into that if you want to. But I can tell that if God did not lead my parents to make us move from those schools, I wouldn't be here today. I would either be like one of those stuck-up people that didn't care about nobody but themselves. I would not care about my parents as much as I care about them now. I would not even care about God. If I would have stayed in those schools, I'd probably be one of those girls that rebels against their parents, be like that, and they're like, no, I don't wanna do what you say. I'm gonna do what I want to do, and like I'll probably like, I imagine myself taking their car and driving to parties and drinking and doing drugs and doing stuff that wouldn't please them. And now, at this point in my life, I see that God led me here. God led me away from all those schools. He put me where I am. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have canvassed this whole summer. I wouldn't have noticed that there is someone that is there for you. There's someone that has a plan for you for the rest of your life. And the plan is that if you leave your life in his hands, the plan that he gives you, it is not to make you fail. It's not to make you for example, you have random fake friends that all they do is try to make themselves look better. When a true friend, they try to make you and them look better. Like, they want both of y'all to prosper. And the thing is that you have to leave your life in God's hands. You have to trust in him. Because if you don't, Jeremiah 29:11 won't mean anything. Because you would take lives in your own hand. You would trust yourself, and that's not right. I trusted myself, and like I thought I could trust myself, but when I go back and see what I would be now, I know that I would have in my trust, I would have failed. So God, he has plans. I may not know now what they are, but I know that they are to prosper me if I leave my life in his hands. And I have to be courageous. For example, what Joshua says what the book of Joshua says in verse 1-9, I have to be courageous. And yeah, so remember the question I asked in the beginning, what is trust? Well, trust is a firm belief in the liability of truth. And something like trust is having someone, like having truth, ability, or strength today, and not in someone or something. I cannot trust in myself. I cannot trust in any human being. I cannot trust in, like, for example, I cannot trust in music. I cannot trust in sports. I have to trust in God, because I know that God, even though I do not have the best relationship with Him right now, but once, like, you seek Him more and more every single day in your devotions and your everyday life, and once you want to be like Him, you gain that trust in God, or God gains that trust in you, and He's like, I am gonna prosper my daughter, because she's been through a lot, and my son came and died for her, and that's why. And I just challenge you today not to be afraid, and to be strong and courageous, and to have faith in the Lord, and not with half of your heart, but with your whole heart. And I just challenge you to trust.